I hope you like this episode of In the Trenches as much as I do, because I get in the trenches with a fellow offensive lineman, Doug Dieken. 14 years of excellence as the Cleveland Browns left tackle. This guy was a great football player, but on top of that, an even better human being. The stuff he's done in the Cleveland community is second to none. Doug Dieken, one of the best human beings walking this green earth. I hope you've taken advantage of the sweepstakes that First Star Logistics is providing. In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. First Star Logistics has said, we're taking care of you at the holiday season. Some unbelievable prizes. If you have not participated, information and links needed are in the information below. Don't hesitate. Don't waste any time. Jump on board. A bunch of people have. Don't be left out. Thanks for joining us in the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. Special guest today, a guy that was in the trenches for 14 years with the Cleveland Browns. None other than the legendary Doug Dieken. Big Doug, how you doing today, my man?
Doing fine. Just one of those where each week it gets to being a more interesting adventure with this team.
Oh man, I'll tell you. We'll get to the team in a second. I want to talk about you for a little bit. How about I just want to list your honors here first of all, both on and off the field. Pro Bowl player, you went to the Pro Bowl. 1982 Byron Whizzer White NFL Man of the Year for the entire league, Man of the Year award. The inaugural winner of the Cleveland Touchdown Club Humanitarian Award, soon after named the Doug Dieken Award. 1992 Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame inductee. 2003 Ohio Broadcasters Hall of Fame inductee. Cleveland Browns Legends Club inductee in 2006. 2012 Greater Cleveland Sports Commission Lifetime Achievement Award. What award haven't you won, man? Huh?
No, and if you just hang around long enough, they give them to you.
No, okay. Let's talk about the playing days. All right. So, did I say 2003, the Ohio Broadcasting Hall of Fame? If I forgot that,
yeah, I think you got that one in there.
Shame on me. But you were the third offensive tackle, left tackle position for the Cleveland Browns. You replaced Dick Shafrath.
Yeah, we had in the first 37 years, they had three left tackles: Lou Groza, Dick Shafrath, and myself.
That's unbelievable. That's the good old days. That's the good old days.
And then you had Joe Thomas come along, and he put a pretty good string along too.
Unbelievable. But availability is a great ability, as the old saying goes. That's the best ability, is availability. 194 straight starts, 203 consecutive games. I mean, you're the Cal Ripken of Cleveland. Ripken, I mean, you're the Iron Man, Doug.
Well, yeah, I am the Iron Man. I got artificial hips and artificial knees, so I am totally an Iron Man now. I just had my second hip done back in January, and in our days, you played. Unless you couldn't walk, you played, and it catches up with you. And unfortunately, it caught up with me.
So I know you're a really good athlete. You played tight end at Illinois, and you're drafted by the Cleveland Browns. I guess you guys didn't throw up much in Illinois, huh, Doug? Is that the deal?
Well, we probably, back in that area, you didn't throw it. In fact, This is how bad we were. We were on probation all 4 years I was there. I always say I was, too late for the money at Illinois and too early in the NFL. But, actually my sophomore year, I was a wide receiver, and we went up to play Notre Dame. We got beat 55-8. I'm still trying to figure out why we went for 2 points. But the starting wide receivers in the game were Jim Seymour and myself, which had to be the two slowest guys to ever start in an NCAA game. But no, at Illinois, unfortunately, Pete Elliott, who was the coach that recruited me, got caught in a slush fund deal, and they let him go. And they hired Jim Valek, who had been the head coach at Army and had actually recruited me there. But I had wanted to go to a Big Ten school, and both my parents went to Illinois. So I went to Illinois, and I didn't know, how tough it was going to be. but you couldn't play as a freshman back then. So you had 2 freshman games, but we went 1-9, 0-10, and 3-7.
Oh man, that's a character builder time right there.
Well, yeah, and then the middle of my or towards the end of my senior season, they fired the coach in the middle of the season, and it was kind of unfair because he got brought in, late, and out of our recruiting class, we only had 4 guys that out of the 30 some scholarships that actually lasted all 4 years, and
Wow.
one of those guys was a walk-on that earned a scholarship, a guy named Tim McCarthy, who you've probably seen. He was the Secret Service agent that took the bullet for President Reagan.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he's my hero.
Yeah.
If your job description says, if you hear a gunshot, make yourself big and get hit, and he did that.
Man, that's unbelievable. All right. So also, as I'm looking at your star-studded career, I see 13 fumble recoveries, which makes sense. You're an athlete. You always hustle the ball, and I can see that. Touchdown, was that tackle eligible on a short yardage goal line play?
No, it was actually on a fake field goal, and
really,
yeah, it was supposed to go to somebody else, but I was so wide open, even Paul McDonald couldn't miss me. So yeah, I ended up with that, and what the other ones I'm kind of proud of. I had a block punt when I was a rookie.
was that a safety? Was that the safety?
No, that safety was over in Pittsburgh. Bobby Walden, the punter, fumbled the ball, and I tackled him in the end zone.
How about that?
But back when I was playing or started, you only had 43 guys on the roster, and we had a little bit of an older team. And before I became a starter, about halfway through the season, I was playing on all the special teams. But then they replaced Dick Shafraff with myself, and they kept me on all the special teams. So I might have been the last offensive tackle to cover kicks, cover punts, be on the punt return, and be on the kickoff return.
So you're a good 6'5". What was your heaviest weight that you played at when you were a Cleveland Brown?
Probably about 257. That wouldn't sell today.
No, that's unreal. But I mean, unbelievably athletic. Obviously, you're a great athlete at that left tackle position, no question about it.
Well, I think, the one thing about it is I played basketball in high school, and the concept of playing basketball and staying between your man and the basket is pretty much similar to what, it is between staying your man and the quarterback. And, be it called getting run over with dignity or what, as long as that guy didn't hit the quarterback, they kept playing you.
It's funny. I played basketball in high school as well, and I felt like the same thing. I felt like it was easier than boxing out because you're looking at them, and instead of having them on your back hip, you're at least looking at them too. And people are like, "You didn't wrestle?" We didn't have wrestling in my high school. The high school was pretty small. They had basketball, didn't have wrestling. And did your high school have wrestling? Did you choose basketball over wrestling?
Yeah, well, I have an older brother that's 6'8".
Oh wow!
And I figured I was going to be 6'8", and the basketball coach, you didn't have Pee Wee football back then, so the basketball coach, told me if I wanted to go out for basketball, he wanted me to be in shape. He said, "I want you to go out for either football or cross country." And I said, "Well, that's an easy choice." So
Right.
I went out for football, and ended up being a couple 2-year all-state receiver.
That's awesome. Man, you were a wide receiver in high school. So how big were you in high school, Doug?
I was probably about 6'5", well, maybe 195.
Wow, that's amazing. So when did you do all your growing? Like your sophomore, junior year, you sprouted up height-wise, or?
Yeah, when I went to Illinois, I was 6'5", 215. And then when they made me a tight end, I got up to 235 pounds when I found the campus bars.
I hear that, Coach. All right, so you played on some great Cleveland Brown football teams. There's no doubt about it. And last year, I mean, Cleveland had a really good season. I mean, beating Pittsburgh, I was all for that in the playoffs. That was great. I was all for you guys, believe me. And then this year, high expectations, and there's been, I mean, you talk about a ton of injuries. I'm looking at the injury report for this week. 16 players are on the injury report for this week for Cleveland. Has it been pretty much, that they're so beaten up that it's been hard to, put any continuity together?
Yeah, it's kind of status quo for us. I mean, every time, you get ready to do the game, and every day they put out the injury report, and I look at it and I see, one team is about this big and ours is about this big.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just can't get any continuity. And then you have the fact that you don't play your veterans in the in the preseason. There's not a lot of chemistry to be developed.
Right. Right. All right. So I got to ask you the elephant in the room question. Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, he's all over any kind of news in the last few days this week. We know what distractions are like, as players in the National Football League and how it can have an effect on a football team. What kind of a distraction, how big of a problem has it been this week with what's going on in the circus with Odell Beckham Jr., Doug?
Well, I mean, when you have Odell, you're kind of used to having a circus. And, I think, the thing about it is, he orchestrated his way out. He waited till, the trading deadline got close when all of a sudden his dad sent the video out and everything. And, when the Browns, John Dorsey traded for him, the wide receiver coach was a guy named Adam Henry, who had been Odell and Jarvis's receivers coach at LSU, and he sold him that it would work. Well, it hasn't worked because last year he got hurt down in Cincinnati, and after he got hurt, all of a sudden the offense really kind of picked up. He's a great athlete. He's got a lot of talent, but you also have to run the right routes all the time.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So he's a backyard ball freelance guy, huh?
A little bit of a maverick.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I see where, as I was looking at some stuff last year, Odell Beckham Jr., 2 yards after catch per reception, second worst average in the National Football League. Was it because he had to dive for footballs and couldn't run after the catch? The ball was behind him. I mean, how can a guy of his caliber only average 2 yards after catch per reception?
Well, that's a tough one. I think you go back to the Dallas game. He showed some of that electric activity that he was known for. But I think one of the things about it is he had that great one-handed catch when he was with the Giants, and
Yep.
he'd come out in pregame warmups and everything was a one-handed catch. Well, we all know that that's not the way they teach you, and he just never really got on the same page with the offense. And he's a talented receiver. He's a guy that he can run a reverse and pick up 20 or 30 yards. But he had the knee ligament surgery last year. I think he got hurt down in Cincinnati.
Yep.
On an interception, and he came back this year, and they held him out in the first couple games. Held him out, obviously, of all the preseason games, but him and Baker just have never been on the same page. And we have a guy, Rashad Higgins, who was like a 6th or 7th round pick, and they have this great chemistry. Him and Odell have good chemistry. They just have never developed it, and you got to wonder, how can you do it with all the rest of the guys, and one guy seems to always be on a different page.
It's interesting. Jamar Chase, the Bengals rookie receiver, is an LSU guy, and we asked him this week, OBJ. Do you know OBJ? Have you talked to him about playing wide? Yeah, I don't really know OBJ all that way. We asked about Jarvis Landry. What about Jarvis Landry? Oh, yeah, Jarvis and I, he helps me. We work out. Is OBJ that kind of guy? Is he kind of like to himself? Is he what's his personality like?
Well, since he's been here, we've kind of had the COVID, so we haven't had a lot of exposure to it. I've met his dad, who sent out the video of him being open, but he seems to be a guy that blends in with everybody, but blending in outside the game and blending in on those 60 minutes you're playing are two different things to be.
So, is your anticipation that he's going to be waived? I mean, obviously the trade deadline expired. Did they come close, to your knowledge, to consummating the trade?
They supposedly talked to one team. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but I think this was orchestrated with the idea that if the trade deadline passed, then they'd have to cut you, and then if they cut you and you're a vested veteran, then you can kind of pick and choose where you want to go.
Yeah, boy, Stefanski, in my mind, I thought that he came in with like a laser focused type personality, and he kind of settled down chaos, it seemed like. And then now, OBJ is trying to stir some, and he seems to still be able to control it. I mean, okay, stay home, send you home, separate. What kind of guy is Stefanski? I mean, is he a guy that handles these kind of situations really well?
Yeah, Kevin is, he's not a vocal guy in regards to screaming and yelling. We had, Freddie Kitchens here, and Freddie was more of the guy that, you'd want to sit down at the bar and have a few drinks with and have a good time.
Right.
But Kevin is a very, sharp guy. He's one of those guys that he he has discipline, but he does it in a very methodical way that it kind of goes unnoticed. I mean, we had some a better example. We had some people during the COVID that were staff members that didn't adhere to the rules, and they let them go. I mean, it's just a matter of this is the way we want it done. Do it this way, or we'll have to find somebody else.
So let's talk about the Cleveland Browns football team, because it doesn't look like OBJ is going to be part of it. It seems like as you come here to Cincinnati on Sunday, but possibly. I mean, who knows? Stranger things have happened in the league. But this football team, man, they impose their will on you, man. The Cleveland Browns run the ball and stop the run. The offensive line, there's a bunch of studs up there, aren't there, Doug?
Yeah, there are. I mean, they unfortunately Jack Conklin got hurt last week,
Right.
and he'll be out for a few weeks. But J.C. Treader, who's the head of the union, is the center, and J.C.'s got a bad knee, doesn't practice a lot, but he plays. He's very smart. Obviously, I think he went to Cornell, and he's a guy that kind of stabilizes the line. Then we have the rookie left tackle Jedrick Wills, who unfortunately got hurt in the playoffs last year against Kansas City, and then the first game of the year this year out in Kansas City, he got hurt again, but he's come back and he's played well. And then we have our two guards. I don't know if you watched the TV series on Netflix, Bosch. I call our two guards Teller and Batonio crate and barrel. I mean, one's got a big barrel chest and one's built like a crate. And they're the kind of the strength of the offensive line.
Yeah, man, inside those guys are something else. And then you have a running back like Chubb and Hunt, but Hunt obviously still on injury reserve. But Chubb, that guy, Doug, what is it? I mean, he's got obviously many traits that are admirable. What's his most admirable trait, do you think?
He plays to win. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about stats. He doesn't care about anything. He just cares about winning. And his rookie year, he went over 1,000 yards in the last game of the season in Baltimore, and then he took a loss for 6 yards, and he ended up with like 996 yards. But that didn't bother him. What bothered him was that he lost, and he is one of the most team-oriented players I've ever seen. And we talk about fathers getting involved, and I've gotten to know his father and mother. They are two of the nicest people in the world, and you see where it comes from. I mean, Nick Chubb is just a quiet professional. We used to have a coach, Dave Adolph. He used to say, "Do you want to be a professional football player, or do you want to be a professional that plays football?" Well, he's a professional that plays football, and there's a big difference in those two.
Yeah, no question. That's a great line. No question about that. So talk about Baker, Doug, with his injury. I mean, he's got a torn rotator cuff, and he's got a cracked bone in there, and they have that harness and everything where doesn't have much range of motion. How much is it affecting him getting out of pocket and being susceptible to hits and all that sort of thing?
Well, it's tough to really dictate because the one game he didn't play, and we were able to beat Denver last week.
Yep.
We had about five or six drop passes that really hurt us. But then we had a couple balls that sailed on him a little bit. What he's got to do is start playing smarter football in regards to his body. He can't take those hits from those 290-pound defensive ends, and it's a work in progress. You admire the guy for how tough he is. You admire the guy for the leader he is. But when it comes down to it, it's a production business, and you know, he needs all the help he can get from his teammates. And we have some good players at the skilled position, even without Odell. Jarvis is obviously a guy. Rashad Higgins is a guy that just seems to always show up. And then we have the tight ends that we use quite a bit.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how this offense works without Odell.
So let's flip to the defensive side of it, and of course, it starts with the defensive ends. I'm telling you, man, Myles Garrett, that dude looks like the Incredible Hulk. I mean, that's ridiculous how that the body on that kid, like what 280, 285 pounds, he's cut up. I mean, he's got a 12-pack for crying out loud. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's a kind of a freakish athlete, and he obviously getting Clowney on the other side helps a little bit. Clowney didn't have any sacks last year. I think he's got 2 or 3 already this year.
Right.
But that's kind of like over in Pittsburgh. Bud Dupree didn't have a lot of sacks until T.J. Watt came along, and then all of a sudden he started getting some sacks, and it got him a good contract down in Tennessee. But no, Myles is really a guy that can wreak havoc. And unfortunately, last year, he got COVID, and he really wasn't the same for 4 or 5 weeks. But he's back to normal now.
Man, the thing I respect about both of them, they're not one-trick ponies in that, giving up just a little over 80 yards a game rushing, third in the league that way. Those guys set a good edge in the running game too. I mean, they play every down, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And that was one of the things that I was a little concerned about is our run defense, but the run defense has held up pretty good. What we've had problems with is chunk plays. If you look at the Chargers game, we gave up some big plays. And our defense seems to get out of sync every now and then, and we play a lot of zone coverage, and we play off, and teams will dink and dunk, and then when we start to come up and try to pressure, sometimes they'll hit us deep. And the Charger game was just brutal with the number of big plays we got hit with.
And when you were saying play zone, play soft, and that's exactly what the Bengals did with the Jets last week. Man, they were so soft, and then come up and miss 15 tackles. I mean, geez, 280 yards after catch because of 15 missed tackles. And you had a guy who'd never started before throw for 400 yards. He and Cam Newton, the only two in NFL history, thrown for 400 yards in their first NFL start. Well, Cam Newton is the number 1 pick of the draft. This guy had been cut by the Jets 3 times, and he comes in and does that. That's just. I guess if you've been with the Cleveland Browns now as a player and a broadcaster for 50 years, am I right? Half a century, Doug?
Well, yeah, I started in '71, and I guess the only hitch in it is the 3 years that the Browns, were out when they went to Baltimore,
right?
And then they came back. But I'd like to think I've seen more Browns games live than anybody that's ever lived.
No doubt about it. I mean, that's an incredible thing. 50.
By the way, this is Diet Coke. It's not beer.
Gotcha. Oh man. So what have you heard from the coaching staff? And I know, like you said, with COVID, and are you guys traveling, by the way?
Yeah, we are. We
good.
Travel.
Oh, that's good. We are too, but some radio crews aren't traveling, but it'd be good to see you down in Cincinnati. But what have you heard, the interaction that you have been able to have with players and coaches? What's their thoughts on this Bengals football team? What are they thinking?
I think they're impressed. Obviously Joe Burrow is one heck of a quarterback, and obviously he's going to be the league rookie of the year, if not the MVP, the way he's going. Yeah. But they've obviously taken their time to get the pieces in place, and I think it all starts with the quarterback, and you've got the quarterback. Then you feature the 2 wide receivers. I know a lot of people thought you should have taken a tackle in the first round, but after watching Chase, I don't think so. I think he got the right guy. And defense, obviously Hendrickson was a big addition to that defense. You've had some guys that have moved on that are no longer there, but you got some young, hungry guys that play hard.
I'm looking at Myles Garrett's numbers in 59 games. I think it is. I want to make sure that I get this right. 59 games. He's got 53 career sacks. The only guy that's got more sacks than him is Clay Matthews. But this, I mean, he's done it in such a short period of time, 59 games. Hendrickson, like you talk about, in the last 24 games, he's got 21 sacks, 13 and a half last year, 7.5 this year. So they get some pretty decent guys off the edge in this game.
Oh yeah, I mean there'll be some good pass rushers. I mean we've got the Watt brothers a couple already this year.
Yeah,
You look at that family; they got one of each size. They got TJ who's kind of lean. You got JJ who's thing, and then you got Derek who's more of a fire plug.
Yeah, what a family that is.
Yeah.
That brings me to, okay, we're talking about great pass rushers. You were a great pass blocker. You did it all: run block, pass block, Pro Bowl player. Who was the best pass rusher you ever went against in your career?
Can I kill this telephone for a second?
Sure.
I'll be honest. The best pass rusher, Leroy Solomon was good, but the guy that probably gave me the most trouble was Coy Bacon when he was with the Bengals.
Yeah.
Coy was on AstroTurf a different player than he was on grass. On grass, he couldn't make that cut underneath. But when you got him on AstroTurf and he could plant that foot, I always thought Coy Bacon was one of the best pass rushers. And, like I said, Leroy Selman was a great one. Jack Gregory, who actually played with us and then went to the Giants, was a good one too.
Coy Bacon, the thing I remember about him, he had that wiggle, but he was always making moves as he advanced to the quarterback. He never was in place, standing in place, giving you the shake. He was always, advancing, making forward motion on his moves. He was tough, wasn't he? It's unreal.
Yeah, he'd take you upfield and then he'd cut underneath. And if he got you running, he had some momentum and some power to go with it. So yeah, Coy Bacon was. I thought it was one of the better pass rushers I've ever seen.
So, Doug, what do you think is a big key in this football game? I mean, what are things that you think might determine the outcome of the football game in this division matchup here?
I would have to say turnovers. That's one of the things. Last week we were -1, and in being -1, it was a costly one because we fumbled. Going in for a score, and that hurt us. And it's a 3-point game, or 4-point game. I think. That always seems to be a problem. And the other thing is, can you contain Chase? I mean, that guy, is for a rookie is just awesome. And I think the quarterback is obviously somebody that you got to get some pressure on, because he's definitely one of the best young quarterbacks I've ever seen.
I'll tell you, you look at numbers, and numbers can be deceiving and everything. And I just 4-4. The Cleveland Browns are a much better football team than the 4-4 record, in my humble opinion. I mean, I think, and again, the team is beaten up. There's some injury issues, but I'll tell you what, I think that Cleveland's put together a damn good football team personnel-wise. It's a shame injuries can wreck a lot of things, and I think injuries have been a big factor in this one.
Yeah, it has. But one of the things last year, they went 11-5, but it wasn't until the playoff game that they actually scored more points than they'd given up. And if you look at it right now this year, they've scored maybe 3 more points than they've given up.
Yeah.
So, it's playing complementary football, and we're not getting the takeaways.
Yep.
We're not getting the interceptions, the fumble recoveries where you get a short field and you get that advantage. So, I mean, as a team, they've got some talented players at a lot of positions. Obviously, Newsome, the rookie cornerback out of Northwestern, is a guy that they needed to match up with Denzel Ward. But with Denzel, the problem with him is keeping him healthy. He's missed a couple games here, and you want healthy cornerbacks. You look at what Baltimore does with Humphreys, and when they had Peters there, they just come up and they shut you down, and they make you a one-dimensional team. And right now we're trying to find our identity, I think, on defense and offense. We can run the ball, but for the tight ends and the wide receivers that we have, we're not throwing the ball quite as well. But we're also a run-first team.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. And you're right on it. I mean, scored 183 points, giving up 180 this year. 3 points difference, just like you said. And then last year sounds like the same thing. So it's kind of quirky that way. There's no doubt. But I'll tell you, Doug, can't thank you enough for the time you carved. I know you got a busy schedule, and you are Cleveland. Cleveland and Doug Dieken, man. It's like, you can't. It's like peanut butter and jelly. Doug Dieken, Cleveland, man. It's like you got to have both. There's no doubt.
Well, it's all about survival, and the thing I always say, people say, "What about the pro game?" A lot of it's about timing. Like you mentioned Dick Shafref. I happened to come along, and I'd never played tackle in my life, and Dick Shafref's in his 13th year. Well, if he'd have been in his third or fourth year, the story might not have been. And in fact, my brother was up in the hospital here, and I went to see him, and this guy started talking to me. He says, geez, did you play football? I said, yeah. He says, who for? And I told him. And he says, so I go back the next day to see my brother, and the guy says, you hold a record for most consecutive games or starts by a tackle. I said, yeah, for the Browns. He says, no, in the league. And I said, oh, really? He shows me this thing on his phone. I go, oh, I guess I do. But, it's like, in our era, I played 1 year or half a year with a torn cartilage.
That's what I was going to ask you. How hurt were you during that 194 game stretch?
Well, I had three knee operations, and in the old days, you'd walk into the training room, and the trainer would be smoking a cigar back then. And he'd go, "Hey, kid, you got a torn cartilage. This is what we can do. You can get it cut on. You'll be done for the rest of the year, or you can, for the good of the team, you can tape it up and play. What do you want to do?" Okay, you answered my question before you asked it.
Unbelievable. Well, I'll tell you what, great player, great broadcaster, but the best thing is even better human being. I mean, the humanitarian awards that you've racked up, you do a lot of great things for a lot of charities up there in the Cleveland community. I know you're loved up there, man.
I had a younger brother that was a Special Olympics athlete, and it makes you appreciate what God has given you when you get involved with the Special Olympics. And I guess my greatest thrill in sports was when he won 3 ribbons in the Special Olympics, because all of a sudden he was no longer Doug Dieken's little brother. He was Paul Dieken. I always, every time I would play a game, I would think of him and the struggles that he had and say, this next 60 minutes ain't going to be tough.
I'm telling you, I've done quite a bit of Special Olympics stuff too. Don't have any in the family, but got involved with it. And to watch those guys compete, guys and girls, in the Special Olympics, the one that I'll never forget, it was a race where all they could do was roll.
Yeah.
These kids just got on their backs and rolled like 20 yards, and they gave ribbons out to the looks on those kids' faces, you would have thought they won Olympic gold medals. It was the most unbelievable experience I've ever had in my life. It was incredible.
There was a movie out about the kid from nowhere, and it was about the Special Olympics athletes, and the kid was running a race, and he fell down. The kid who was winning, and the kid that was second, who would have gone on to win it, stopped and helped the kid up. Yeah. And that's what the Special Olympics is. It's about participating, and it's probably the truest form of sports that you ever find.
Yep, absolutely pure. I mean, no, you talk about unbelievable human beings. I mean, these kids, these people, men, women, they are pure. Their souls and spirits are pure. Unbelievable.
Yeah, when the Browns left, the facility was vacant, so we set up a thing where every year at Christmas we'd have a Christmas party, and we'd bus in all the athletes and let them just play games in the facility.
Yeah.
And up until the COVID, we still did it, but just to see the smiles on their faces and the enjoyment they have, it's just special.
It is. I mean, the simplest things make them so happy, man.
Oh yeah,
unbelievable. Doug, you're a great man. Appreciate your time, and look forward to catching up with you down here in the Natty.
Is Jeff Ruby's open?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, well, we got to see if they allow us to go there, but if we do, I know Jimmy Donovan will want to go.
There you go. Enjoy a good steak. Safe travels. Look forward to seeing you, my man.
In fact, a couple of years ago when we played you on a Thursday night, Jimmy Donovan and I were sitting at the bar there having dinner, and Cower walked in.
Oh, Bill Cower did, yeah.
Yeah, with Marvin. Of course, Cower was my one of my roommates here with the Browns.
Yeah.
I had a knee operation right before training camp, and I went into the business guy and I said, I want a new roommate. And he says, who do you want? I said, Bill Cower. I said, why do you want Cower? I said, I just had a knee operated on. There's no remote control in our room. Somebody's got to change the TV for me. So they made me Cower's. Then they cut him that year. But Bill was one of the greatest guys, one of the greatest teammates that a guy could have.
Great special teams player, wasn't he?
Oh, super. Yeah. And he was a darn good coach, too.
Oh, no question. No question. Good man. Well, I'll tell you, Doug, I could talk to you for days, never mind, hours, but appreciate it. And we'll do it again.
Okay.
This was great stuff. Appreciate you, Doug.
Anytime, Dave.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right.
Gotta get that body right. That's right. Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out FirstStarLogistics.com.